What are you at, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Lycos, and this is episode 2 of my No Man's Sky new player guide for 2024. In the last episode, we went over a lot of the basics that you should know in No Man's Sky, and in this episode, we're going to start off with some base building. Once we've landed on our second planet, the game is going to get you to use your scanner to pinpoint a certain location. It's going to be one of these damaged machinery, and after we interact with it, it's going to give us a blueprint for the base computer and the terrain manipulator. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is to install the terrain manipulator onto our multi-tool. This takes some pretty basic materials, and then we're going to need to find some copper using our scanner, and with the terrain manipulator, we're going to be able to mine that copper. Now once we've mined the copper, we're going to use our refiner in order to turn it into chromatic metal, and then we can use that chromatic metal to make our base computer. Another thing that you're going to want to do with your terrain manipulator is you're going to want to find some buried technology. So these are the icons we're going to be looking for with our scanner in order to find this buried technology. Once we dig one of these up with our terrain manipulator, we're going to be getting salvage data, which is used for getting blueprints for base building, and they're also quite valuable as well. So if we go around and collect a whole bunch of these, we'll be able to sell some of them later on and hopefully make ourselves a couple 100,000 units. Now the first base that anyone makes in No Man's Sky is usually not going to be their main base. For me, I usually just put together a small outpost. Even if you're into base building, chances are your second planet is not going to be a great location for your base. So I recommend that you just learn the basics here, make a small outpost, and then move on. So once we get our little house made, we can interact with the base computer again, and now it's going to give us a construction research unit. We can use this to get some more blueprints, but for right now I'm going to pick up our base computer and put it inside of the house we just made. Anything that you place down while you're base building, you can pick it back up and put it somewhere else. You can delete anything that you put down. This game has very good base building. So now we're going to need to pick up a couple of extra blueprints here. I had just enough salvage data to be able to get the things that I wanted. Things we're going to need are the teleporter, the ball fuel reactor, and the wire. With a teleporter at your base, you can teleport to any space station that you've been to before and other bases that you've created before as well. If you're into base building in games, I really think that you'll enjoy the base building in No Man's Sky. And I also have videos dedicated just to base building on my channel. I recommend that before you leave the planet that you go around and dig up probably 20 or 30 salvage data. This would be very useful later on in order to sell a few of them to get extra units. And if you're interested in base building, these would be very useful later on once you reach the Anomaly. Now I'm going to head to our first space station and give you a little tour. First thing that we're going to look at here is the starship outfitting. You're not going to need to worry about this too much right now, but later on this is how you're going to be able to upgrade your ship. You can even scrap ships that you don't want. Right next to it we have the appearance modifier. You can customize the appearance of your character. Here you can actually expand the exosuit inventory, and I recommend for every space station that you go to, you make sure you get an extra inventory slot because you can only get one per space station. Also, there's a whole bunch of vendors here. Right now, we can only just talk to them. We actually have a mission for talking to NPCs on the space station, but once we talk to enough of them, all of these vendors that's located in this area are going to sell upgrades. So upgrades for your exosuit, upgrades for your ship, upgrades for your multi-tool, and upgrades for your exocraft. So this is the vendor that sells the multi-tool upgrades, and you can actually get a multi-tool here. And then there's also a station right here that's similar to the spaceship outfitter that will allow you to upgrade your multi-tool. As you can see here, the multi-tool vendor will sell you a variety of multi-tool upgrades, and you purchase them with nanites. Now in the last video we touched on a couple of different ways that you can get nanites in No Man's Sky, and we'll be talking about another method or two to get nanites later on in this video. Now over on the opposite side of the space station, we've got the trade terminal where you can buy and sell items. We also have a teleporter on this side, so you can teleport back to your base or to other space stations that you visited. And the last thing that I want to talk about before we leave the space station is that there are constantly ships flying in and out of the space station, and you can talk to the pilots of those ships in order to buy and sell items from them, or you can even check out their ship to see if you want to buy it. Now that's a short tour of the space stations for you guys, but I want you to keep in mind that we're expecting later on in 2024 that we're going to get a pretty extensive overhaul of the space stations. So if that update has been released when you're watching this video, expect the space stations to be very different. Now, shortly after we visit our first space station, the game is going to be directing us to go to a place where we can get a blueprint for a hyperdrive Then we're going to install that hyperdrive and we're going to get warp cells so that we can fuel the engine. And with that, we're going to be able to travel from system to system. Now this is all pretty straightforward, but one thing that I would like to talk about is on your way you're going to be coming across a building that's like this. You're going to see all these little purple eggs all around the building, and I highly recommend that you harvest up these eggs before you leave. Now it can be a little bit tricky. There are going to be hostile aliens that are going to come out of the ground and attack you, but they're really not that dangerous. And the way that I like to get the eggs is I like to jetpack up to the top of the building and then shoot the eggs from up there, then jump down, grab the eggs, and then fly back up to the top. I'll usually get 2 or 3 eggs at a time, and I recommend that you get all of the eggs that are around this building. As I said, these creatures aren't super dangerous, but you don't want to take a whole bunch of hits from them, so just to be safe, I don't stay on the ground for too long. Now from the eggs you're going to get larval cores, and these sell for a really good amount of units. And you can also put these into a refiner and refine them into nanites. And this is a good way to make units or nanites early on in your playthrough. Once we have our hyperdrive, we're going to be able to travel from system to system. So now exploration is really going to open up to you, but I highly recommend that you keep following the game's tutorial, at least until you get to the Anomaly. Now I'm going to be talking about a couple of things with regards to the Anomaly, but before we get there, there's a point in the tutorial where the game is going to send you to a location that has a crashed ship. Now you can repair this ship and keep it for yourself, but unless this is an amazing ship, I recommend that instead of keeping it, you only repair the engines and the thrusters of the ship so you can get it up to a space station, and then on the space station we're just going to scrap it. At the ship outfitting station we're going to be able to scrap it, and depending on the ship we can get items that are worth a lot of units. Now to finish up the video, let's talk about the Anomaly, which is the multiplayer hub for No Man's Sky. This place is very important and has some amazing features. You'll get to the Anomaly usually around a couple of hours into your playthrough. When you first arrive, you're going to be sent up to talk to Nada and Polo. They're going to give you a couple objectives to go around and talk to different NPCs. The game does a pretty good job of directing you to the important places that you're going to want to check out in the Anomaly. But there's a couple of things that I want to focus on in this video, and one of them is this location here. There are so many great blueprints that you can get here. You can get unique blueprints that you can only find here on the Anomaly for your ship, for your multi-tool, exocraft, suit, and you can get a whole lot of blueprints for base building. Now most things here are going to cost you nanites, but of course the base building blueprints are going to cost you salvage data. As you can see here, there is a ton of base building blueprints that you can get here. Other very useful blueprints that you can get here are some ship weapon blueprints. Personally, I love the infra knife. I highly recommend that as a ship weapon. Also, the economy scanner is very useful in No Man's Sky. With the economy scanner, you can see the economy of a system before you visit there, and you can use it once you get to a system in order to find trading posts. And trading posts are one of my favorite places to build a base. I highly recommend that players build at least one base next to or even on top of a trading post. It's useful for being able to sell items to pilots that are flying in and out, and for any possible ship hunters out there, trading posts are one of the best places to hang out to find amazing ships in No Man's Sky. Now back to the Anomaly, make sure you check out all of the blueprint vendors because they sell some really great blueprints. But one other thing that you should make sure to get for every system that you go to is another suit inventory slot. So this is the same thing as a space station. In every system, you can also call in the Anomaly and get more inventory space. Like many other games, you're going to want a lot of inventory space in No Man's Sky, so make sure to get it both on a space station and the Anomaly, especially early on in your playthrough. I highly recommend that you explore around the Anomaly. There's some pretty cool things that you can check out here, but another very important thing that I think you should check out when you're at the Anomaly is the Nexus. This is where you're going to get multiplayer missions, and they give some really good rewards. Now you don't have to do these with another player, you can actually just do them solo, or you can do them with friends, or you can just activate it and wait to see if another player joins your mission. Now that is it for this video, everyone. I hope you got some useful information out of this video. I hope you're enjoying your No Man's Sky playthrough. If you want to check out more of my No Man's Sky guides, there's a couple on the screen right now. Thank you all for watching, and as always, stay where you're at, not come where you're to. Later, everyone.